everybody. My name is Julie Grafmeyer. I'm the nurse practitioner at the Wellness Center at CAPS. I'm here this evening with one of my patients, Tisha, and we're going to be talking tonight all things wellness, focusing especially on gut health. So we're going to wait just a minute to let people kind of pick up the feed here, and then we'll get started. Can't believe how cold it is outside.
Is this
Yep. Go ahead, yeah. Just sitting here chatting, waiting for people, enjoying the fall weather. So, all right, looks like we've got a couple people joining in now. So again, my name's Julie Grafmeyer. I'm the nurse practitioner here at the Wellness Center at CAPS. And we thought we would get on tonight and share Tisha's story about gut health. So, you know, in the Wellness Center, we focus so much on lifestyle medicine, things that include stress management, adrenal health, gut health, hormone balancing, thyroid health, all things that really affect how we feel day to day. And tonight we're really going to focus on gut health. And that goes from everything from food choices to gut microbiome to digestive enzymes, inflammation, all sorts of different stuff. So we're going to start with Tisha sharing a little bit about her own story and then things that we can do here at the Wellness Center to help.
all right? So for over 10 years, I've had a lot of left upper quadrant pain. I've had CT scans, ultrasounds. I've had scopes upper, lower, and doctors were telling me there's nothing wrong with you. But I kept having this really bad pain on my left upper quadrant. I knew something was wrong. I knew I wasn't crazy. They made me feel like I was crazy, but I knew I wasn't. So I came to Julie, and she did GI mapping on me and found what was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm cured.
So one thing to keep in mind, guys, when you go through the traditional medicine route and you have the CAT scans and the endoscopies and all of these tests, traditional medicine really excels and does a great job at looking for illness. So when you have all that imaging done, they're looking for cancers, they're looking for Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, all of those types of problems, and it's wonderful news to hear that those tests are normal, and that is really helpful for me in my evaluation to know that it isn't one of those terrible problems. But then the remaining question is, well then what is going on? And it's not normal to have pain like that, to have bloating is another really common symptom that I hear about, to have lots of different sensitivities to foods where you're not necessarily having an allergy, but when you eat certain foods you don't feel well. Constipation, diarrhea, all those types of things, that's not normal. I always ask every single one of my patients, how often do you have a bowel movement? And yes, we're going to get real this evening and talk about bowel movements, but that's important. You have to get rid of your waste products every single day. And yes, you should be having a bowel movement every day, especially in women. That's super uncommon to have a daily bowel movement, but it's important. So all of those types of gut symptoms, when you go through that traditional medicine evaluation and things are normal, wonderful, but then there's still more work that we can do. So Tisha mentioned one of the things we did was the GI map testing, so we're going to get to that. But one thing I want to else mention that she has done was a lot of work with food. So gut first and foremost, along with many other symptoms that we have, links back to food. And if you don't remove foods that you're reacting to, or you're not eating the right foods for whatever reason, you will not feel the way that you want to feel. So Tisha had already done all of that work when she met me and found some foods that were making her feel worse. She had removed those and was being very diligent about that piece, but still wasn't really getting better. So we did a test called the GI map. It's by a company called Diagnostic Solutions, and it looks for a lot of different things. So first of all, let me remind you maybe why someone would do this test. There are some really classic GI symptoms that we think of: bloating, abdominal pain, constipation, diarrhea, IBS, acid reflux. So those types of people are often thinking about maybe something's wrong with my gut. But there are some other symptoms, and actually quite a few things, that are linked to gut health that aren't so obviously related to the gut. So things like fatigue, mood issues, skin problems like acne and eczema, inflammation issues like symptoms like joint pain often can be related to the gut, and other immune symptoms like getting colds and flus frequently. So those are things that I hear when I'm meeting with a patient that I also start to think about gut health. So in the GI map test, It looks for a variety of different pathogens, so things that really make us sick, things that you maybe hear about when people get food poisoning or they swim in a pond that's contaminated with Giardia or something like that, so they look for pathogens. Then there's the normal bacteria, the good healthy things that populate our guts that should keep us healthy. So we're looking to make sure that there's enough of those bacteria but not too much. There's markers for what's called opportunistic bacteria, so bacteria that get into our gut systems, get into the bowel, really shouldn't be there in a healthy gut. And then things like viruses, parasites, yeast, worms. So we're looking for a lot of different things. And then my favorite section on that GI map test is looking at digestive health markers, so digestive enzymes, inflammation markers, some food sensitivity. It's not really a food sensitivity test. There's a gluten sensitivity marker, but that's separate and not always super helpful, but can be helpful when we look at how to heal your gut. I'm trying to think, immune function markers and pure inflammation in the gut. So that's what the test collects. It's about 4.5, 5 pages of information. And then we sit down and we look at what's out of balance and how to best correct those things. Usually if there's an antibiotic, a bacterial issue, we do not use antibiotics because they're way too strong and they actually disrupt the gut more than help, but we can use a variety of different herbal blends, digestive enzymes, again, working with food to correct the individual patient's problems. And these results are usually quite fun, aren't they?
I cried. I did. When I told her.
Yeah,
I was
she
like,
did. First time in 10 years that you hadn't had pain. And that's, again, it's one of those things where you have to do all of this work with food, and we can help sort that out at the Wellness Center here at CAPS, but it's really powerful to do both together, to work with food and then make sure you have the right digestive enzymes, optimize your bacterial flora, and really get your gut back to where it should be. We look at, like, leaky gut is another really common thing that people hear about or talk about, and we can see markers for that on the GI map test. So it's really helpful to get people to really reach that optimal state of wellness. Yeah. A couple other questions that I hear a lot is, how do you complete the test if it's something that you're interested in doing? It's just a sample kit that you take home. You collect a stool sample and mail it in through FedEx. It's really easy and straightforward. There are some tests available that you have to do 3 different samples, so that makes that even more challenging, but this one is just 1 sample, which is nice. The treatment plan, again, typically herbal blends, digestive enzymes. It really depends on what we find. And then the cost is another really common question that we get. The cost of the test kit, including the review appointment to go over everything, is $450 right now here at CAPS. So if you guys have any other questions, we can always, we're happy to answer or kind of help guide you through some treatment options. Our phone number here is 614-246-6900, and you can always just speak to the Wellness Center about any specific questions that you have. What else can I tell you? What else can I tell you about? Does anybody have any specific questions? We're happy to answer anything. Another really common question we're getting recently is about Prolon. I don't know if anyone's heard about Prolon. Prolon is a fasting, here's a question. I'll come back to Prolon. Can you tell us what all the tests can detect? Absolutely. So some people I think are maybe just joining in, but I'll run through that list again. So the test looks for good bacteria, pathogens, which means bad bacteria, bad parasites, bad yeast. H. pylori is included in that. The opportunistic bacteria, so bacteria that don't necessarily cause a problem but really shouldn't be in your gut in an ideal situation. And then yeast, fungus, viruses, parasites, worms, and then the digestive health markers, so digestive enzyme markers, inflammation markers, those types of things. Any other questions? I don't think I missed any. Okay, that's good. All right, so Prolon is a company that put out what's called a fasting mimicking diet. So that essentially means it's a kit, a set of food for 5 days that helps our bodies detoxify and work on stem cell production, work on burning visceral fat, helps with anti-inflammatory stuff really strongly. So liver inflammation, gut inflammation, skin inflammation. It does help with weight loss, but it's really more about triggering a metabolic reset and working on inflammation. So we offer the Prolon kits here at CAPS too. They have a great website with tons of information if anyone is interested, but it's a really, really good, powerful metabolic inflammation reset. And it's a 5-day fast, which makes it a lot easier than doing, a complete fast where you don't eat at all for 24 hours, but this way you're allowed to eat small amounts throughout the day, 5 days in a row, and it can be very powerful to really look at inflammatory markers and metabolism markers. So that's another thing we do here at CAPS. Any other questions? I think if you have gut issues, what is the first step on fixing this? Excellent question. So the first step is always food and looking to try to find triggers. Triggers for food, number one, most common triggers, gluten, dairy, eggs are really common, different types of nuts and seeds depending on the person. Soy is another big one. There's a lot of different groups of foods that as we sit down with the patient in the wellness center, we can kind of help sort out what are the types of things that are triggering people. Sometimes it's gluten, sometimes it's dairy, sometimes it's something that's really obscure and maybe more certain types of sugars and certain types of fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing. So when you start to sort out what's causing the problem, what's triggering you, what's making it worse, then we remove all of those things and see how much change you feel. How much better is the gut? How much less bloating do you have? Do you notice that you're sleeping better at night? Is your skin clearing up? And depending on where we get from there, we can either do the GI map, we can do probiotics, add digestive enzymes, just keep working, and we work in layers and just keep, one thing at a time. So it's a great question. I think that was that question. Sorry guys, it's always there. The words are so small. Okay, good. That's good. Okay. Well, anything else you want to share, Tisha?
No.
Okay. Well, she did all the hard work.
I did.
But we're here at the Wellness Center at CAPS to help in any way that we can, and especially like when you've been through something like Tisha where you've had the traditional medicine workup and you get the wonderful news that it's not something terrible that you need surgery for or anything else, then just know that there are things that you can do to feel great, and that's what we're here to help with. So let us know if you have any questions, guys. Have a good night.